Hello there. Good afternoon, folks. How are we doing? Hey, Barbicus, how are we doing? Long time no see. I hope you are well. Ah, dear, right. How have I lost my train of thought? Literally the first sentence I say. Oh, dearie me. Essentially, I'm tired. I'm very, very tired. I know there seems to be a running theme, but yeah, the last week or so has kind of hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm not going to rehash everything. If you want to know kind of everything that happened, check out last stream. But needless to say, uh, it was a rough old week. It was a rough old week, which means we've not been sleeping terribly well. Our little one's not been sleeping terribly well, uh, leading to general tiredness and a feeling of kind of meh around the house, which is not good. Is not good. So over the weekend we decided to. Did I get you? Yes, I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified. Hey, Photostyle, how are we doing? I hope you're well. What was I saying? Yeah, so general kind of feeling a meh around the house. So we made a point of getting out and about on Saturday. We went to Walton on the Naze, which is about an hour and a bit, hour and a half away from us. Essentially, it's meant to be a good beach for lots and lots of kind of fossils and shells and stuff on it. So we thought that'd be kind of fun to get out and about. Something, fresh air, obviously, peace. But it also meant all of us, including the little one, could go rummaging for kind of cool-looking fossils on the beach, which was fun. We slightly mistimed it with tides, but actually we still had a really, really nice time. And it was just nice to get out and away from people. Too often recently, because we've just been exhausted, we'll find we're getting out, but it'll be not exactly a peaceful getting out of the house. For example, it'll be like, oh, right, we need to go and actually do like a big little shop or something, which is not exactly peaceful. Or we'll go and take little one to a soft play or something, which she loves, burns off a lot of energy, but not exactly peaceful for the parents. So actually getting out, into the great outdoors was, much better, I think. So we found some bits and pieces. I made a little kind of impromptu cairn. Eivor has nothing on me on that. Yeah, it turns out actually stacking weirdly shaped rocks on top of each other is significantly easier in real life than it is in Assassin's Creed. That mini game was absolutely horrendous. Very pretty in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, but it's a lot easier with sort of like, this has got some heft, this has got friction, and therefore is not just going to fall over the second I make it even slightly off balance. But no, that was nice. It really was nice to get some fresh air. We were tired though. We sort of timed it well in that we got there, did some stuff, and then just as it was starting to get dark, walked back to the car, and then it was a decent time that actually we could drive on the way back. Little one fell asleep, and then we got home to plonk her straight into bed. Because she's 4, so I think, as is the case with a lot of toddlers, she's got an awful lot of energy, and she in particular gets quite silly and stubborn in the evening. So if you go past, not even past her bedtime, but past a certain point of tiredness, she gets very clumsy and really, really stubborn about not wanting to go to bed. So she will push it and push it and push it. And, with an element of naughtiness to it. Now, generally, she's a lovely kid. She really is, with a good heart. But she's been starting to get silly, and will act out and go too far. So we had an incident last week where she hit my wife and I. She was having a bit of a strop. And she didn't properly hit us, but she crossed a line on that one, and her iPad, which used to be my iPad, went away for 3 days. She was not happy about it. All the sorries came out, which is good. Sorries are good, but it doesn't mean she gets her stuff back straight away. So she's been having some wobblers, and I think that's a combination of, as I said, age, general kind of feeling in the house, and she's definitely, again, I'm not going to go over it, but the short version is, I talked about it last stream, is that we lost our cat end of the week before, and I think she's still processing it. We didn't tell her. I mean, we went with the kind of same line that we had previously, the kind of, he's bedded down, he's on the farm. But she knows something's not quite right, and I think she's just struggling to process it. I think it's all more real to her this time. And yeah, I think she's just got big feelings that she doesn't know where they're coming from. So yeah, she's acting out a bit, which is completely understandable, but it means we are exhausted, absolutely exhausted. And I'm kind of curious what's going to happen this week, because I have to be in the office. I have to be in London for 2 days this week, Tuesday, Wednesday. And considering the time I would have to be back and the time I'd have to go in, and the fact that work covers it, I'm going to be staying overnight in London. Because it just makes more sense. And I'm kind of curious. I mean, it's not curious. I'm worried about how she's going to be, because generally she's all right with me being away. But I remember after we moved down from Scotland, the first time I had to be away overnight, she threw a bit of a wobbler because it was too much change. And given that she's kind of got a lot of stuff going on the back burner in her little head, she might not respond well to it. So I think I'm prepared for, if necessary, coming back. But the fact is, I'm going to have to be away at some point, and we'll see. We'll see what her mood is like. I'll brace her for it tonight. With the fact that Daddy's going to be waiting all night. Oh yeah, we'll see. Such is the way with toddlers and with life. Yeah. What are you going to do? Oh dear, right. So what's happened in the last week? We did the Blunderlings launch. So we did that kind of attached to last week's Wednesday stream. And I was so glad that they've released it, which is good. It's a book I'm really, really proud of. But I'll be opening this one. I spiraled a little bit after it came out, just because, I mean, essentially it didn't sell. It didn't sell on the day. And normally if I release stuff, I might get a sale to day, especially if it's a big old kind of flagship thing, like a Little But Fierce thing. And it's had a few sales, which is good. But it's kind of a moment of reflection, this one. I mean, obviously, times are tough right now. There's no getting around it. I think no matter what country you're in, finances are tight. Cost of living is a rough topic. And the fact is, Little But Fierce is marketed predominantly at parents. And parents, as I can attest to, are skinned to the best of times. So being able to splurge on something, especially, end of January, start of February, is not necessarily practical. But it's still a little bit of a kick in the teeth. I hate that feeling of, you release something, you're really, really proud of it, and nothing happens. The tumbleweed kind of happens. And like I said, there's been some sales now, and it will be fine. People will buy it. People, I would hope, will enjoy it. And I'm kind of moving on to the next thing. And, Little But Fierce is a kind of an ever-expanding thing. The more books I add to it, the more stuff is in the bundle. And therefore, if people pick up the bundle, they pick up everything. So kind of from a financial business perspective, it will be fine. And I knew, in fact, this is, I invested a lot in original art in this one. So it'll take a while before, everything balances on that, and it'll be fine. But it's still a bit of a kick in the teeth when you release something and you don't see any immediate result to it. But I did have an evening of, have I reached saturation with Little But Fierce? Is there not enough interest in this? And I just kind of opened up some people and, kind of helped get my head on right on that one. And getting out and about in the house. I mean, I think generally I was not in a great headspace anyway, and I was kind of hoping for a bit of a serotonin boost by the release. And because that didn't quite happen, I kind of spiraled a little bit. But I self-promotion's hard. Self-promotion's hard at the best of times. It really is. And the fact is, this was a bigger expansion, which means it costs a bit more, which means you're going to get fewer spontaneous sells on this one. The first big expansion, or certainly larger expansion for Little But Fierce, was the Mara expansion, which I think off the top of my head is like $3.95. This one is much bigger in terms of the page count. It's $6.95. And the difference between a $3.95, whimsical purchase and a $6.95 whimsical purchase is different. Of course it is. And the fact is, Little But Fierce is D&D-esque. And, it's less of a spontaneous play. So it's not like, I'm picking up, a tiny little, a tiny little indie RPG. We'll play it as a one-off at one point, and it's great. If you're going to play Little But Fierce, probably you're going to invest a bit of time in that one, and it's terribly likely that people have bought it, not got around to play it yet, and therefore they're not going to buy a new expansion yet when they've not used the stuff they've got yet. It all absolutely makes sense. Of course it does. But I'm just very aware of the fact that looking at the sales that have happened so far, they've all been bundle sales. So that's people buying the Little But Fierce bundle of everything, which, again, from a business, financial perspective, great for me. But it makes you go, like, 500 people bought the original Little But Fierce book. I would have thought a returning customer would have purchased the new expansion. But again, totally makes sense. Temps are skinned, rough times. Do you want to keep buying expansions if you've not got around to playing it yet? All of this makes sense. So I'm not sitting here whinging, but it's I'm kind of being open and honest with you. It was a little bit of a kick in the teeth, but it will all be fine. Of course it will. People will buy my stuff. And that is a hell of a privileged thing to be able to say, that I know that people will eventually buy my stuff. Because being an indie creator is bloody tough. And this is not my primary job. I have a day job. So it's not like I'm in a situation where I've put all this money and time and effort into a thing. It is my only source of income, and it's something like a lead balloon. It is not that at all. So, I always kind of keep that in mind. The fact is, for the time being, this is a second job. It's a second thing I do. It is not the primary source of income. It's not putting a roof over my head. So stop bloody whinging and get your head on right. But on the flip side, don't bottle stuff up. Mental health is important. Right. What's next? Well, doing it again, taking a sip of a drink. Midway through a sentence, never a good idea. So what else? So I talked about this plan last week, and I've actually done it now. So I've decided to kind of consolidate my Patreon Ko-Fi. Is it Ko-Fi or Ko-Fi? I've heard people say both. I kind of say it like Hi-Fi, which kind of dates me as a person. So I've always said Ko-Fi. But I ran the two of them in parallel for a long time. And I started with Patreon and then branched out to Ko-Fi as well. But on the whole, I've actually found Ko-Fi to be better. I mean, one, you get more of a cut of it. And you get things like, all this stuff. The integrations, I think, are better. And you can have a store on it and stuff like that. And they probably are targeted slightly differently, but I found Ko-Fi to be a bit better. So what I decided to do was I needed to kind of reboot what I was doing with that anyway, because I was taking it for granted. I will be perfectly honest with that one. I was taking it for granted as, there's a little bit of monthly income coming on here that pays some of the subscriptions and stuff like that. But I wasn't doing enough with it. I wasn't proactively doing stuff. It was more of a guilt thing. And if I look through my previous Patreon posts over maybe the last 6 months, most of them start with me going, look, really sorry it's been a while. And that's not cool. People investing money. And I know it's not a, I've been quite open about the fact it's not a, you will pay me this and I will provide you with that. It's not so much that sort of transaction. It's more of a, you are paying me an amount each month to support me while I do stuff. But the fact is they are paying for stuff, and therefore they should get something back in return. At least the expected amount of stuff. So what I decided to do was, because I was rebooting it anyway, was to consolidate. So what I'm doing, I'm in the process of closing down my Patreon. So I've turned off billing on it. I will close it like a month from like a couple of days ago. And I've posted about it, I've messaged everyone, I've emailed all my people to say, look, switching over to Ko-Fi entirely now, so if you'd like to carry on supporting me, that's awesome, thank you. If there's any of them watching it, if you choose to do that, I will refund this month's Patreon fee, so you're not double paying, because that would suck. And here's what you're going to get. And I've kind of revamped the way I'm doing it a bit. So I've kind of committed to myself and to all of you that I will do, at a minimum, a weekly check-in post. So at some point over the weekend, I will post essentially what's going on, anything that happened, how things are going with writing, link to any new works in progress. I'll have links to any streams or videos I've done. So that, I'm, being stricter on myself on, if people are paying to support me, and I have kind of reiterated the fact it is you're supporting me so I can put time in to develop bigger projects rather than churning out small stuff. But, I want to keep people informed on what I'm doing. So I've started doing that already. I've done the first one of those already on Saturday, and immediately cocked it up in that I said week commencing the 29th of February. It was not the week commencing the 29th of February. It was the week commencing the 29th of January. Smooth, Dave. Really smooth. But I've done all the bits and pieces I need to do with that. So I've taken all the exclusive stuff, all the works in progress that I had on my Patreon, I think, and I've added them to the Ko-Fi store for free, but member exclusive. So if you're a monthly member, you can download all that stuff from a storefront rather than having to rummage through posts and find attachments and stuff like that. So I think it'll run a bit slicker, which is good. And it links into all of this in the branding and stuff like that. So I think that'll work. So if you are interested in supporting me to make stuff and get some, cool exclusive stuff, little bits of it along the way, and early access to works in progress, ko-fi.com/DCBradshawRPG. It's £3 a month. It's just a single tier. I try to keep it nice and straightforward rather than doing a multi-tier thing. If you'd like to support me, that is awesome. If you don't want to, no offense. And if you can't, or if you want to but you can't, that is totally cool as well. Whether you are a new person considering it, or someone who was a Patreon supporter and you just can't afford it right now, that is absolutely cool. There is no pressure on that at all. So if that's something you're interested in, please do. If you want to try it for a bit, that's awesome as well. Thank you. Thank you for even considering it, frankly. And similarly, if you choose to subscribe to the Twitch channel, we now have subscriptions on. Whether that's a paid subscription or if you've got an Amazon Prime membership and you want to chuck your Prime subscription at me, that's cool. It's a little bit of extra income for me. It gives you access to the extra penguin pirate emoji on top of the freebie ones. And that would be awesome. It also turns off ads for you, which, Twitch ads are annoying. But we're getting money, so what are you going to do? But no. So I'm glad I did that, because now I'm being kind of proactive in what I'm doing with my Ko-Fi. Because, just kind of lingering on the fact that, I'm rightly feeling guilty about the fact I wasn't doing enough with my Patreon. So let's do this now, do it in the new year, and do it properly. So that's all of that stuff. Any other news? D&D. So I've mentioned this a couple of times. So over the past 3 months, I've actually been able to play in a D&D game, which has been awesome. I used to be in a monthly and then fortnightly D&D game pre-parenthood, or a little bit into parenthood. And that was awesome. But, the second you become a dad, there is just less time. Or the time you have, you are just epically tired and you don't want to screw people around. So I haven't really played for a while. I've run a few games here and then, done little one-shots on both sides of it, player and dungeon master, but it'd been a while since I'd actually managed to play. So we've been doing that for a little while, and the nice thing is that actually it is a group of teachers or people in education, so all of a similar mindset. We all have similar views on things and world experiences. So that's been really, really nice. Drawing together kind of two threads of my professional life. Because I was a teacher. I was a teacher for 10 years. I've been out of that for 6 years or so now. So it's quite nice to be talking with education people who are also geeky D&D people as well. So that's been really, really fun. And we've just got to the end of our first kind of mini campaign of that one. It was something I think that the DM originally would run as a one-shot or a long one-shot over a day. But because we were running from like 7:30 till 9, once a fortnight, it was definitely in chunks, but it was fun. It was kind of a dungeon crawly type thing, ascending a tower, which was very, very fun. And we kind of basically did a floor of the tower each time. So that's been really fun. I really enjoyed it, and it's a great group of people, many of whom I didn't know beforehand. Carl, who's the DM, who is Heimdall on a lot of places, so follow him if you don't. He's really, really good. I've been talking to him on kind of socials for a long time, but I've not actually met him, even virtually, before this. But a really great group of people to play with. So we've got to the end of our first mini campaign, and I'm going to do the next bit of this. So I was talking before Christmas about wanting to do a bit more hard-boiled adventures stuff. So for those who don't know, that's my D&D, but update the time period to be 1940s-ish. So it's, orcs, goblins, elves and stuff, and, detectives and guns and film noir vibes. So the Hardboiled Adventures book comes with a one-shot in the back of that. So I'm going to be running that. It won't be a one-shot because, again, of the time constraints. I suspect we'll play it over probably about 3 sessions, but I think that's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm already hearing bits and pieces from the players about the fun they're having creating their characters. So I'm looking forward to that one. And who knows where we go from there. I think all of us are enjoying it. So whether it'll be someone else take the reins for a bit or, I don't know. But it is really nice to actually be playing with these games again. Having been a player for a few sessions, now I'll be DMing for a couple of sessions. I'm really, really enjoying that. And it's a chance to stretch the creative muscles in a different way. It's a bit of fun. And I think I have not been taking as much me time as I probably should have in the past, frankly, a while. Or any time I had, I was either writing, which is, let's be honest, for the most part, it's working, it's just doing a different job. Or I've been gaming, which is great, but it's, it's insular. You're doing a thing on your own. So actually, human interactions are important, especially for someone like me who is, quite introverted by his very nature, and I have, really enjoyed that. So we, I think, have some ads that are gonna drop in a second. So if you aren't subscribed and aren't a Turbo person, you may see ads, for which I apologise. Or you may not. Twitch has been flaky. The number of times it says, hey, ads, and then people go, yeah, there were no ads. It's quite a lot, so yeah, you might get ads. Who knows? What are you going to do? So, what else? What else is going on? Well, I'm still planning to start Max Payne 2. I had such hopes I was actually going to start the streamed Max Payne 2 stuff this weekend, but due to toddler tiredness and therefore parent tiredness, it just didn't happen. We got back from Walton on Saturday. I think it was about 8 o'clock-ish, and we were just shattered, absolutely exhausted. So that didn't happen. And then last night, we had to go to my father-in-law's in the evening, and we were there just a bit longer than I thought. And I had great intentions of, I'll do the stream tonight, and then got home. It's like, I could do it, but I'm not going to be good company. I'm not going to be entertaining. It's just going to be, I'm playing a game kind of on autopilot, but I'm not actually talking about it. Which you can occasionally get away with to a degree, but not when you're starting a brand new game. And especially starting a game that probably a lot of people won't have played, and it's dated. Let's not get around the fact. I did a kind of quick test of it the other week. Max Payne 2 is a game for the Xbox, and I don't mean, the new Xbox, which I don't even have, the Series X. I don't mean an Xbox One. I don't mean an Xbox 360. Max Payne 2 came out on the original Xbox. Now the graphics don't look too bad considering that, but yeah, it's old. Let's be honest here. It's my Xbox One emulating it, and it's got things like the key mappings, like what is the black and the white button? Things I forgot even existed. So when I do the first stream, I'm going to have to be calling out the fact, this is old, it's kind of dated, but, let's have some fun here because it is, I think, generally quite a unique game, the Max Payne series. So I want to do that with good enough energy. So I'm hoping to do that this week. I will try and pre-announce it before that happens. Because I have a nasty habit of only deciding to do a gaming stream at the last minute and then people don't even know it's happening. Which is just stupid from every perspective. Because if I'm going to stream a game, it'd be nice to have people there. And it would be a shame if people go, oh yeah, I was looking forward to that. And yeah, by the time you announced it, I was busy. So I will try and be more organised. I really, really will. But I'm not sure when that'll be. On the note of circling back to being away this week, that means there won't be a lunchtime stream on Wednesday. Because I'll be in the office, so definitely can't be streaming from the office. I may potentially do something tomorrow evening, maybe a low-key gaming stream, like a board gaming stream. Maybe. I think it depends on two things. Firstly, it depends on hotel Wi-Fi. If the Wi-Fi is not good enough, that's clearly not going to happen. And even if I tethered to it over 5G, it wouldn't be good enough. So I think that's a huge factor on that one. And also, the fact is I am away for a night, so I may well just, cross a film off of my ridiculous backlog of films I've not seen, without having to worry about getting a toddler to bed. So we'll see. It might happen, it might not. But Max Payne 2 will be coming soon, I promise. Because I really enjoyed the Tomb Raider run. So let's keep that going. Oh, dearie me. What else is going on? Well, I guess on the topic of gaming, let's go back to good old Baldur's Gate 3, which I'm still playing. I am bloody impressed with that game. I think most people who have played Baldur's Gate 3 will agree that it is incredibly compelling. But I've not really talked about Act 3 on this one. I talked about it a little bit when I first completed it. That, the ending... Well, actually, no, I talked about it when I got to the end of my Dark Urge run. I was saying I was a little bit disappointed in the Dark Urge ending. But that was before all of the epilogue stuff was out. So I'm looking forward to that. But I'm in a dilemma on this one. And I will try and be spoiler-free on this one, because the fact is there are still people who haven't got to the end. The Xbox release was only relatively recent. So what I don't want to be doing is chucking spoilers out for people. So I'll talk in broad terms on this one. So Baldur's Gate 3. So Act 1 is absolutely fantastic. There's an awful lot going on here. I think it eases you into it all very, very well. Act 2 is very, very focused on all the stuff related to kind of Moonrise. And I think it generally does that very well. Act 3 is an odd one. I don't dislike Act 3. And I think the ending, the final kind of conflict and stuff is quite good. I think the problem I have with Act 3 of Baldur's Gate 3 is kind of the competing things you should be doing. That's the odd one to me. So the game itself is trying to push you into, there is a clock on this. You need to do this and this and this, before the end of the world, essentially. Now, I believe there's not actually a real clock in it. I don't think you're being forced to do certain things on a certain schedule, but it's pushing you that way, and it's hyping you up to, let's do the big battle at the end, let's do that. And from my sense, I want to do the big battle again, and I want to get to the epilogues that I've not seen, all that brand new shiny content I really want to do. The thing is, In Act 3 also, there are an awful lot of NPC kind of companion quests. You know, the culmination of a lot of stuff here that is kind of linked to their stories that you also want to do. So, one, you've got the conflict of, you know, the game is trying to push me to do this, but actually I want to do all these side quests as well. And they're kind of not ignorable, these side quests, because I would assume if I don't do them, it's going to be a bit rubbish in the epilogue, having not done those side quests. You know, when I did the end of my Dark Urge run, I actually skipped a load of the Act 3 stuff because I knew the fact that, look, this person's not in my party, this person's not in my party. I'm at max level now. I'm not really going to get anything more out of it because I'd done those side quests when I did my first run through. And it's probably not going to go anywhere in terms of the consequences of this one. So I actually skipped over them. But this time, I want to do the epilogues. I want to do the epilogues as fully as I can for these characters, considering the kind of way I've played the game. So I really need to do these quests. And like I said, I'm max level again, because you get to level 12, you know, not quickly, but you do get to it, you know, relatively early on in Act 3, I think, for most people. So it's not like I need to do them to get more experience for the final fight. So there's a little bit of effort there. I want to get the epilogues, but also I had an idea about what to do for another run through, and I didn't think I was going to do a fourth run through, but I'm excited by the notion of doing a Resist the Dark Urge run through, because the only Dark Urge run through I did was an Evil run through. So I'm torn, and like, I want to play this new run through, but I also want to finish Act 3. I want to get the end of Act 3 and not faff about doing some of these quests. I'm still enjoying it. You know, I'm not going to be playing a game and playing content in a game that I'm not enjoying, but it's one of those that, you know, if we had world enough and time, you know, because I'm terrible for playing games late into the evening and it being like then 1 o'clock or something like that, which means I'm tired the next day. And I, you know, generally it is a self-fulfilling prophecy of tiredness, which is just stupid. So I will play through to the end of this run of BG3. I want to play the epilogues. You know, I understand there is so much stuff in there, but this is bits and pieces of, I can't really be bothered to do that thing with Gale. And I do, again, I'm not going to spoil what it is. I need to do the House of Hope for the way I'm playing the game. And I want to do that fight again, but I am on Tactician for the first time. So that fight is going to be really, really tough. And I'm at max level. So all I can do to try and improve how I'm doing is get better equipment, essentially, or purchase more scrolls and stuff like that. You know, I can't get more experience. I can't get more skills to help me with that. It's just going to be tough. And something I've discovered on this playthrough, this is the first time I've had Halcyon in my party. So for those who don't play or haven't got round to playing, you know, various bits of Baldur's Gate 3 yet, Halcyon is a druid character who, as druids can in 5th edition, can wild shape. And his wild shape's really good. I mean, just crazy, crazy good. I mean, he's been pretty awesome along the way, changing into an owlbear and just kicking the crap out of bad guys. But when you get near the end, you get the ability to turn into a Dilophosaurus. And it's just insanely overpowered. You know, just as in Jurassic Park, though they couldn't actually do it, you can spit venom, which is quite cool. But you can do like a jump and then do 3 attacks. And I've also given him whatever feat, you know, the barroom tavern brawler or whatever it is that improves his unarmed attacks. And he's got some gauntlets that improve his unarmed attacks. But he is an absolute machine for taking people down. By way of exemplification on this, the other day I did the final fight for Astarion's questline. And I don't have Astarion in my party, so I swapped out Halcyon for Astarion to do this quest. And I was doing okay on the fights in Tactician mode, but I was still getting my ass handed to me. I really was. And even though I was pulling out all the summons and stuff like that, and, you know, not cheesy tactics, but I was, you know, having to play it very, very tactically, because that fight is really tough. It's definitely one of the trickiest in the game, I think. But I just wasn't getting there. I just wasn't getting that. And I thought, okay, let's change this around a bit. And I actually dropped Gale from my party to put Halsin back in. So I did it without like a main spellcaster. And I walked it. That's an exaggeration. It still do a lot of work, but the first run through I did with Halsin in it, I just did so much better because his wild shape is just immensely powerful. If you're talking about, I need to mop out all these bad guys, he does it really, really well. Yeah. So very, very powerful is the druid. But I'm enjoying that. So what do I still need to do in BG3 without spoiling it? Well, I need to wrap up Gale's stuff. I need to do House of Hope. I need to do the Jahirari bit. And I do need to, on a playthrough, actually... I've had Jaheira in the party, which has been wonderful. I really do wish that if they do DLC for Baldur's Gate 3, it'd be nice to do more with Jaheira. Whether it's a romance arc or something like that. But, it's a shame you don't get as long with her as you could do. You don't get her in Act 1. And then obviously, minor spoiler here. Sorry, cover your ears if you don't know it, but it's in a lot of the advertising. You get Minsk, and in the run-throughs I've done, I've got Minsk by the time I've really settled into my party. I know who I want to have in my party. So while he's in the camp and you can chat to him, I've not had him in the party, and I'm not going to do it on the end of this run either, Maybe in my 4th run, my Resist the Dark Urge, I will have Minsk in my party. But because I want him there for the epilogues and stuff like that, I need to do that bit. And then it's the run into the end. I've done the 2 big important preceding things so I could go in straight to the end game now if I want to do, but I need to do these side quest bits first. I'm not going to do honor mode. I have just no interest in it. I really don't. Those who don't know, honor mode is something they've put in, which essentially, it's like Iron Man mode in the XCOM games and various other games. So essentially, it's the hardest difficulty, plus some even more hard stuff thrown in. Like a load of bad guys have like legendary actions and stuff like that they didn't have even in tactician mode. But if you die, you die. Not as in fourth wall, that would be ridiculous. But if you die, the game is over and you can't reload. Which, from a power gamey, speed runny, those sorts of players, and nothing against those sorts of players, but for people who see that gaming as that kind of challenge, I can see the appeal of doing it, but for me, it will just frustrate me. I don't get enough time to game. And if I'm playing a game like Baldur's Gate 3, I'm doing it when I replay it, to explore new plot threads or new ways of approaching things, but a good character or a bad character or a dark urge, 2 different flavors of dark urge, having different characters in my party, making different choices, all that. That's why I enjoy playing Baldur's Gate 3 and games of that ilk. The notion of investing a load of time over a number of evenings and then going, you're dead. That is not appealing to me at all, and while the achievement might be nice, I'm just not going to do it. And I think the only way I could do it, because actually my skill, I'm pretty good at the game, but nowhere near good enough to do honor mode. So the only way I could do it, and it sounds like the only way some people have done it, is by cheesing stuff. Using loopholes, using things like, well, rather than actually fighting this boss in even a very tactical way, it's like, I'm going to load the room full up with explosives, and I'm just going to blow them up the second they start. That's not the spirit of the fight. It's not the spirit of the game. And yeah, you'll get to the end, and you'll get the achievement, and well done, because I've said that as if it's an easy thing to do. It is, ridiculous some of the things you have to do to try and complete honor mode. I just don't... It's just not the way I want to play the game. And that's fine. And it's fine that people do want to play it that way. That's cool as well. It's just not for me. So, the 4th playthrough is, because I've created the character already, and I've done a little bit of Act 1. Resist the Dark Urge. I'm going to play it on the kind of normal difficulty. Tactician was fun, and I have enjoyed it, but the Act 1 is brutal on Tactician. By the time you get into Act 2, it's just, you just got to stay on top of your game and you're okay. But Act 1 on Tactician is unpleasant. you really have to make a decision of, okay, I'm going to do that fight before that fight, because I really hope I level up after doing that first easier fight before I do the harder fight. I just can't be asked with that. I've done, or I will soon have done it, finished it on Tactician. I'm very pleased with the fact that I managed to get almost to the end of the game on Tactician, and I think I'll be alright with the final fight. But I don't see the need to put myself through it again. But I am looking forward to doing Resist the Dark Urge. I think they have done a lot of interesting stuff with Dark Urge. And I can totally understand... people who think it's the default way to play the game, and equally people who don't want to do it as the default way of playing the game. It does fundamentally change so much, but in a very, very interesting way. So I really enjoyed the Evil Dark Urge run, and I think a Resist the Dark Urge run is going to be very intriguing as well. And I'm curious how much the game is going to punish me for playing in that sort of style. I'm very aware of the fact that it, through Amelia Tyler's delicious narrative, and narration, that it's going to try and force me to horrible decisions. And we'll see how it goes. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. Cool, right. So no stream on Wednesday, possibly one tomorrow evening, hotel Wi-Fi permitting. I might get into the habit of doing one on Friday as well. I generally had a lunchtime commitment on Friday, which meant I couldn't stream on Friday, but now actually that's moved. I might start streaming on Friday, we'll see. And I do want to get into Max Payne at some point this week, which would be fantastic. So let's start to wrap this up then. Thank you so much, awesome people, for sticking around. I can see Radiant Leith, I can see Photostyle. Papaya, I didn't see you there, you're awesome. I see K the Double K still lurking on there, which is fantastic. If you're there hiding and I can't see you and I haven't called you out, I do apologise, Photostyle. Thank you very, very much. I mostly lurk. Thank you for streaming. No, thank you. You're just awesome and keep being awesome. If, again, on the wrap up of this one, if you do want to support me on my new revamped, rebooted Ko-Fi, £3 a month, that would be just fantastic. If you can't, or you don't want to, that is fine as well. But I totally understand, money's tight, financial commitments are not an easy thing to throw around. So if you can, that would be brilliant. It would be wonderful if you could give me a chance. But if you can't right now, that is totally cool. Please do not guilt yourself about that. We're all looking out for each other, and times are tough right now. Okie doke, let us see what's about. I mean, I can see K at the Double K lurking here, possibly because he's going to the end of his stream, and may potentially be looking for a raid. I don't know, but he's the only person on my friend list who is streaming right now, so I'm going to raid him just at the end here. So we'll jump across to possibly just the end of K's stream here. So it'd be great if you could do that and continue to support an awesome streamer. I hope you have an awesome day. Let's start that countdown on that raid. It's going to raid in like 6, 5, 4, 3. Have a wonderful afternoon. Speak to you all soon. Let's go.